Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football, the Big 12 championship game. It's at Iowa State, Arizona State. You look at Arizona State, I mean, they were picked to finish almost dead last in the Big 12 heading into 2024. They get hot in late October and they just ride the heater the whole month of November. What I love about Arizona State is they've identified their best players on the football team and they just force feed them the football. And we see so many coaches you try to win with too much scheme. And this is not me getting up here and talking about Kenny Dillingham not being a really, really smart football mind when it comes to coaching offense, but he kind of has simplified it for Arizona State. Like, hey, Cam Scatterbo, Jordan Tyson, that those are our best football players on our offense. How can we manufacture touches for them and let them go win us football games? Kenny Dillingham does a great job of that. Then you look at Iowa State, there's just not many flaws in this Iowa State team. And that's kind of why you've seen them be so steady over the course of 2024. And they had those back to back losses, but on aggregate, you kind of know the performance you're going to get from Iowa State, and it's going to be damn solid. Really excited to get into this one now. Before we do, and as always, just want to say thank you to you guys. And it's been a blast doing these preview prediction episodes, specifically in the Big 12. These games have been absolutely wild every single Saturday. Appreciate y'all rocking with it. If you guys do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Without further ado, let's get into this one. And let's start with, I think, the most intriguing matchup that we're going to see in this football game. And largely, one of the matchups that I think will decide this football game, that is Arizona State, that wants to run the football a lot, 60% of the time. That's 14th most in the country, going up against an Iowa State front seven that at times has struggled to stop the run. You take a look at the numbers, giving up 5.1 yards per carry. That's 111th in the country. You kind of have the feeling that Arizona State is going to come into this football game kind of doing what they've done all 2024, and that is run the football behind one of the best running backs that we see in the country in Cam Scatterbo. Can Iowa State stop that run game? That is by far the biggest question. And when you're dealing with Arizona State, there's a couple of things you got to make sure you do when you're trying to tackle a guy like Cam. One, you have to team tackle him. He's got 78 missed tackles forced on the year, 3.8 yards after contact per carry. This kid is exceptionally hard to tackle one-on-one. You have to get to him as a unit. You have to have a lot of guys flowing to the football, and that's something Iowa State does a really good job of. Like, you never question the effort in the team, the kind of the team play of the Iowa State defense. And so that's kind of, to me, where it starts. And then I think secondly, the question is, can Arizona State get the run game going to the point where Iowa State has to start bringing in some safeties into the box? Because when they do that, Arizona State, they don't want to throw the football all that often, but when they do, they want to push it down the field, and they want to push it to Jordan Tyson, who can work vertically down the field exceptionally well. That's kind of the puzzle you got to figure out when you're playing Arizona State is, all right, how do we stop Cam Scatterbo? That's job number one. And if it requires us bringing another defender into the tackle box, putting a safety in the box and leaving just one safety high, how do you deal with Jordan Tyson working vertically down the field? Sam Levitt has done a phenomenal job, not only pushing the ball down the field, an average depth of target of almost 10 yards, doesn't really turn the football over that much either. He's got 5 interceptions on the year, but a lot of those interceptions, he's very good at taking care of the football. And Iowa State wants to turn the football over. They got a secondary that has their hands on a lot of footballs. That's probably the second matchup you're looking at. And then Sam Levitt, he can also get involved with his legs as well. Arizona State's going to throw a lot of different looks at you, but you kind of know they're going to run the football. It seemingly comes down to, can Iowa State, that at times has struggled stopping the run, can they stop it against Arizona State on Saturday afternoon? This Iowa State secondary is elite. A 51% completion percentage given up. That's number 2 in the country. Very, very good secondary. Very disciplined secondary. They'll play a kind of a variety of different coverages, but it is very rarely are they busting coverage and giving you free plays. And it's kind of the reason why Iowa State's sitting here at 10-2. They just play damn good football. Now you flip the sides, and Iowa State kind of a similar conversation, a little bit more balanced. 52% rush rate, which is 69th in the country. So they're kind of a more balanced team from a rush pass split. They can run the football effectively. I think what makes this team special, and when they throw the football, they got two wide receivers that they're going to work this passing attack through. You look at a guy like Jaden Higgins, you look at a guy like Jalen Noel. Both of these wide receivers have over 100 targets on the year. Both of them have gone for over 1,000 receiving yards on the year. So Arizona State, kind of that one wide receiver in Jordan Tyson that they want to really get involved. Iowa State, they got two guys. Now, the next most targeted pass catcher only has 25 targets on the year, so you kind of know the ball is either going to Jaden Higgins or Jalen Noel. Can you try to take those two wide receivers out of the Iowa State passing attack? To me, that's kind of what it comes down to. Rockelbeck's been really good too. You're looking at two quarterbacks that aren't going to get a ton of national media attention, but have been two of the better quarterbacks that we've seen in the country. You look at Arizona State, the biggest turnaround for Arizona State's on defense. You know, when Kenny Dillingham took over this Arizona State team in 2023, you could tell that there just wasn't the personnel. Like, they just didn't have enough good, fast, big, strong players on defense. And we talk about this a lot. You look at defense and say it's really contingent on having athletes. And it's no secret why Georgia has the best defense in the country year after year. They just have the caliber of athletes to do so. Yeah, Kirby Smart, Glenn Schumann, they're great defensive minds. But when you have guys that are big and fast like Georgia, you can normally have a good defense. They've overhauled this defense. And you take a look at the defense in 2024 and compare it to 2023, they're just clearly bigger, stronger, faster. And as a result, they've been a top 30 defense in the country, only allowing 21.5 points per game. That's 26 in the country. They will force some turnovers as well. Getting into the pick here again, just like almost every Big 12 game that you pick all year, it is a toss-up. You know, the line opens up Arizona State 2.5-point favorites. It's down to about 1.5, kind of just a pick 'em game. I'm going to go with Arizona State, and I'm going to go with Arizona State for a couple of different reasons, but it starts with, I think they probably have the biggest advantage, and that is Cam Scadaboo and Sam Levitt. They can run the football. They run the football a lot, and they run the football really, really well against an Iowa State front seven that has struggled to stop the run. And so I think that's probably the biggest advantage you're going to see in this football game. I'm going to go with Arizona State. And I think plus you kind of just look at momentum. Arizona State has that. There is so much buzz around this program. This program kind of feels different when they take the field. They kind of expect to win football games every single time. You know, Kenny Dillingham has changed, kind of the vibe and feel for this Arizona State team. So I'm going to go with Arizona State to win this football game, get to the college football playoffs. Really, really exciting when you kind of know this one's going to come down to one or two plays at the end of the game. Which team makes it? That's going to be the question. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later.